Hi everyone. Are we having a good time so far? Let's give a round of applause to all the speakers so far. All right, so it's wonderful to be with you guys here today at the Underdog Marketing Conference. So today we're going to be talking about all things copy, all things copywriting. And the topic for today is crafting irresistible copy that customers can't get enough of, right? So let's just get into it. All right, so these are some of the stuff that we're going to cover. The first thing we're going to be talking about is a human thing. We're going to dive into psychology a little bit. We're going to learn about the O word. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it has something to do with bundling your products and services to the right kind of audience. Third thing, things your English teacher wouldn't approve. Writing tips that is not right for the classroom, but right for creative. Case studies, as well as my personal best places for copy inspo. Next, so by the end of today, you will learn more about the foundation of irresistible copy, the importance of the O word, pro tips for making your copy more effective, and finding instant inspo on tired and uninspired days. I don't know about you, but I have many of those, so I think those are going to help. All right, let's go next. Okay, let's start off with a quote, and this one is by Simon Sinek, and it says, "Good marketing offers us a view of the world. Bad marketing offers us a product to buy," right? Keywords being view of the world, something bigger, more impactful, and more meaningful, as opposed to just pushing a product, meeting a KPI, right? Let's go next. All right, so the population in the world is about 8 billion people-ish, all right? And you may be thinking, Cheryl, how are we going to craft irresistible copy for customers, that customers can't get enough of? There's so many different type of people. We haven't talked about segmentizing. We haven't talked about persona yet. But you also need to realize that all customers are human. Next slide. So it is a human thing. Some things just doesn't change because we're human, and some things come along with being human. All right, so these are the 4 truths about being human. All right, number 1 is get me. And what I mean by this is people want to be understood. People want to make sure that brands and organizations say stuff that will resonate with them. Get me, I want you to get me. And a good example is like, let's say, if you just got into a new relationship and you have a partner now and your friends ask you, so what is it that you like about him? What is it that you like about her? I don't know, he just gets me. She just gets me, right? So humans, we want people to get us. Number 2, people are always thinking, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? You may be sitting here thinking, what is this girl going to be talking about copywriting, and what is it in for me, for my business, right? Very obvious, it's never about you, it's always about the audience. And number 3 and number 4, these are actually the answer. They're kind of connected. They are the answer to the question, why do we buy stuff? Why do we buy stuff? And if you think about it from a very baseline point of view, like the core of why do we buy stuff is actually to alleviate pain or to gain pleasure. Okay? Why do we buy insurance? Why do we buy new shoes, new skincare, new whatever, right? Okay, these are the reasons, and these will start off with these 4 truths. Next. Okay, as we look a little deeper, we'll talk about desires. You cannot be human and not have desires. Okay, Paul J. Meyer says, a burning desire is the greatest motivator of every human action. Desires are very, very strong. The next slide will talk about the profile of desires. Raw power, 3.5 stars. Conversion, okay? The feeling of actually reaching into your pocket, grabbing money, and completing the transaction, also very strong. Effectiveness, as far as when there's a body copy that you're reading and they incorporate desires. They make you feel something to a point that you actually want to do something about it, okay? Also very strong effectiveness. And in the world of psychology, there are actually many, many different types of desires, but for the sake of time, we'll only look into 3, which are physical desires, material desires, and sensual desires. So physical desires, everything to do with the exterior self, physical self, the desire to be thin, strong, healthy, free from acne, things like that. Materialistic desires, the desire to be swimming in cash, having a luxurious home, fancy car. Nothing wrong with all of that, by the way. Sensual desire, okay? The desire to be intimate, to connect, to belong, to have a cold one on a scorching day. These are sensual desires, all right? Let's move on. And these are some examples. This one is by a brand called Parachute. They're in the bath and bedding industry, and this ad is talking about their line of bedding products. And as you can see here, the headline says, "Let's not run away together. Just 500 more minutes." It plays into the sensual desire. And obviously, it's a play on words of let's run away together and just 5 more minutes. Okay? So they are encouraging this slow living, wellness, let's just stay in bed longer kind of a feeling, sensual desires. Next. This one is by Ensure, and it's by Abbott Nutrition. This ad is talking about a beverage for the elderly for muscle support, because you know their lean muscle, as we age, our lean muscle gets lesser, right? So it says, this beats having a bad bath. So this one caters to the physical desires where it's like an elderly person. You know, elderly persons, like their experience with water would be only like a bed bath. They won't be swimming in a pool, by the lake, and things like that. So it's more of like an exterior self of someone who's older, but having that inner desire, that physical desire. Similarly, for the second one, the ball doesn't care. Sorry, man. All right, so the ball doesn't care how old you are. All right, so as you can see, this one, like the gentleman there, he's kind of positioning, looking at the ball. So it's very much catering to that physical desire, an older person wanting to embody a more younger person, right? Okay, the second point we're gonna look at is called identifications. Identifications. And what this is about, next. Right. Don Cheadle, he says, "I've been doing this since I was 10 years old, inhabiting different people and playing different roles." Okay, roles. In life, we have certain roles we play at work, we have certain roles we play at home, with our friends, and this is actually a very strong thing in copywriting. Compared to desires, I would say it's either equally strong or sometimes it's even stronger. All right, so raw power for identification, certain roles. You can think of it as like who I'm supposed to be, right? Something like that. Because I think all of us, we have experienced this, like, okay, maybe this is who I am, but there's also a version of like who I'm supposed to be for my family, for my company, and things like that. So raw power, conversion, and effectiveness is really strong as well for identifications, the roles. Next. So some examples for this, okay? The responsible one, the loving one. We are a father, we are a mother, daughter, son, the funny one, the serious one, different kind of roles. And if you are able to kind of speak that, you know, in your copy to kind of like whether you're pushing your product or services, it actually does resonate and it really gets the audience, right? So identification is also a very strong one. And if you're wondering why, it's because everybody wants to be somebody. Not that everybody wants to be a somebody, like someone big, someone famous, but everybody wants to be somebody. And you may be wondering, like, oh, is this important actually? So our role as advertisers, people who are creatives, copywriters, this is what we do, okay? Why we need to know. Let's give it a bit of... No. Okay, backtrack a little bit more. No. Yeah, I know there's a lot of slides, but it will be very valuable. I know I have the lunchtime slot. We will run to the buffet together after this. Okay, so it is our role to find out who this is. As in, everybody wants to be somebody. So we need to find out who that somebody is. Okay, that's my point. And if we look a little deeper, this is, I think, one concept a lot of people have told me helped them a lot, which is to mind read your prospects. Okay? Mind reading your prospects. You can see 3 different columns here. It says pains and fears, hopes and dreams, uncertainties and barriers. So these are the things actually that's inside your prospect's mind, and you kind of need to address that. So the first one you'll see, the first one, pains and fears, represents where your prospects are at. What's in their mind? Where are they at mentally? Hopes and dreams, where they want to be. And uncertainties and barriers, what's holding them back. So since we're at a marketing conference, right, let's say I'm selling digital marketing services and my target market is startups, okay? So I might use a table like this and I would fill in like direct quotes of what I think that these prospects, have in their mind, okay? So let's say the pains and fears of someone who's running a startup. They might say, it feels like we're doomed to fail. It's like we post every day, but no one sees it. Okay, pains and fears. Maybe I heard some laughs. Maybe some of you guys can relate. Hopes and dreams. Okay, almost every post we create goes viral. That's the dream, right? Uncertainties and barriers. I know I need the help, but who can I trust? How will I know if they can even do the job well or not? Okay, so these are things that actually get into their mind, get under their skin, and will help you be able to craft your copy to really directly speak to those pains and fears, hopes and dreams, uncertainties and barriers. Okay, very useful tip. And if you're thinking, why does this matter? I think it's pretty clear, but then I have a quote to back that up. The next one is by J. Abraham, and this is what he says. If you can articulate my hopes, fears, and dreams better than I can, I will automatically assume that you have the solution. Let's say if you're having a face-to-face conversation with somebody and they can articulate your hopes, fears, and dreams better than you can, chances are you may be like, your shoulders will come down, you will kind of lean in and just want to know what they're going to say, right? Okay, so that's why it's important to mind read our prospects. Some examples. This one is by a London-based dating app called Badoo. So the headline says, find someone who loves you for you, you are who you date. So this one is identifying or talking about the role, the one who's one and done. All right, somebody who's looking for a partner, something long-term. Next example. Then we'll look at, this one, it's by a brand called Atoms. They're talking about this shoe basically, and it can be summed up in the second paragraph that says, yes, we could make them cheaper, but if we did that, they'd be cheap. Okay, talking about the person who buys good goods, the person who buys quality stuff. All right, and the third one is by Oxford University. It says to be or not to be. That is 2 questions. If you two are smarter than Shakespeare, we have the degree for you, right? So this one is talking about the smart person. It's relating and identifying to the person who's smart and intelligent. Okay, let's move on. So these are the takeaways for just the first part, okay? So that we understand the 4 truths as humans and we tap into desires and roles and how to use them in copywriting. And mind reading prospects is possible when you've identified pains and fears, hopes and dreams, uncertainties, and barriers. Okay, the O word. Let's play a little game. How many of y'all can guess what is this O word based on the next slide? If you know it, just keep it to yourself. Just have a think in mind what it is. I'll reveal it to you later. And if you're not sure, I'll show you the next slide. I'll give you more clues, okay? Next slide. The O word, it starts with an O. It has 4 letters. And that is all I will say. Anybody got a guess? 4 letters. Putting things together like that. Okay, let me reveal the answer. The next slide. The word is offer. Offer. Okay, when you put a burger together with the fries, you bundle things together, it makes sense, it offers value, it's an offer. Okay, let's move on to see what we're going to discuss more about offer. Philip Kotler, every single person who studied marketing, your first textbook, chances are, is by Philip Kotler. And it says, there is only one winning strategy. It is to carefully define the target market and direct a superior offering to that target market. Offer. Okay, how does that kind of make sense to your audience? And, in your copy, are you really communicating an offer as opposed to just a product, right? Next. Okay, a good offer should be clear and simple. People shouldn't have to guess like what you're saying. It should be very direct. It should offer a ton of value. Burger, fries, camera, tripod. Be a no-brainer for the target audience. It should be so like, yeah, I want that, right? I'm sure we've all faced that. I mean, we've experienced that with different products. When we read an ad, it should be a no-brainer. A good offer should also have a strong call to action, right? So whether it's incorporating fear of missing out, incorporating scarcity, oh, there's only 2 pieces left, 3 pieces left, okay? Urgency, the sale ends midnight, right? So it kind of creates that urgency. And very importantly, one thing I find super, super important, have a bulletproof guarantee. Your product, your service should do what it says it's going to do. If it does more, even greater, right? So because obviously this relates to trust, and trust is the most valuable currency in business, or that's how I feel, right? So if you lose trust, you are not only losing the trust of that customer, you don't know who they're gonna talk to, because sometimes good things people will talk about, bad things also people will talk about, right? And have a good amount of social proof. That means you must have evidence that it works for other people, that it works for 100 people, 1,000 people. Otherwise, at the get-go, like, how are people gonna trust you, right? So this is what a good offer consists of. All right, for those of you who are in e-commerce or in marketplace, you will be very familiar with all of these. So these are like the more common offers these days, I would say. It's very tactical, it's very mechanics driven. But personally, I find offers that are a bit more creative, a bit more inclusive of audience is really important and just nice to read, Okay. Let's go to the next one. So an example is like of My Burger Lab. When they were having this promotion like for SPM students, encouraging that even if you didn't score straight A's, just come with your result slip and your IC, you get 20% off your order. And so this is an example of an offer that is inclusive, it's fun, it's meaningful, right? And the next one is the more recent one, which is the Merdeka one by McDonald's, where they, you go to the drive-thru and then you shout, "Saya anak Malaysia," and then, if you drive like the colors of the national flag, and then, you get a specific offer. Okay. And so, this is a picture of a frog. I personally find frogs kind of icky and disgusting. And so let's say if this frog represents an offer, okay, and it's not a good offer, how am I gonna make it better? Okay, maybe I can try this. Does it help? Does it help? Not really, right? A frog is a frog. And my point is this. My point is in the next slide, which says a good offer can make up for bad copy, but good copy won't be able to make up for a bad offer. As in, if you're selling things that people really don't want or really doesn't make sense to them, you can have like the greatest copywriters write your copy and it may do okay, but it won't do well, I would say, right? Okay, so having a good offer is really, really key here. Okay, so the takeaways would be a good offer plays a big role in the conversion process. An offer should go beyond mechanics. It should be inclusive. It should be meaningful. And you must have a bulletproof guarantee, okay? These are some of the key things. And let's move on to things your English teacher wouldn't approve, all right? But in the industry, more than welcome. Starting sentences with "and", using more full stops than commas, using contractions like "won't" and "isn't", one-liner paragraphs, putting a twist on a common phrase, and making things funny, right? Okay, these are things your English teacher wouldn't approve of. But I say, use them all. Use them all together, don't use them all together, but use them, right? Okay, let's go on. Okay, this is by a London-based budgeting app, and it's called Clio. It says a money app that doesn't suck, right? So there's a contraction there. This is an example, Clio. This one is by a toilet paper brand from Melbourne. They're called Who Gives a Crap Toilet Paper. And here they're using humor, right? You've got a really nice bum. Okay, it's bamboo toilet paper, and like they even offer like subscriptions. And of course, you look at their branding is so on point, right? And what I'm trying to get at is like this line here where it says, I'm not sure if you can see, it says, "Good for your bum, great for the world." Okay? And as writers, you may actually say that, oh, you can actually use a comma. You don't need to use a full stop. But it's more punchy and it's more impactful when you actually use the full stop twice here. Okay, more examples. This one is by Lion Matches. It's a vintage ad. And this is, I'm talking about one-liner paragraphs. Okay, the ad says, I like cigarettes, cigars, pipes, blah, 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 blah. And it gets like to more bigger and important things like Christmas puddings and distress flares. It's easy to see I'm not in it for the money, right? One-liner paragraphs, they work. And this one is actually part of a copywriting challenge that we were challenged to rewrite the original ad and then our version of the ad. And so putting a twist on a common phrase. So I said, this is actually a coffee alternative product. So let's say if you want to taste coffee, but you don't want the caffeine, so you can try this product, mud water. And so I rewrote the ad and basically I took the phrase, tastes like chicken, and I took it, tastes like coffee, but it ain't coffee, right? Okay, let's move on. Let's look at some case studies very quickly. All right, this is one of my personal favorite ad campaigns. This one is by Avis in the car rental company, and it's called We Try Harder. Okay, I think some of us may be familiar with this one, very famous. And I want to draw your attention to the last line of this ad. Basically, it says, we're only number 2. Because Avis was always number 2 compared to Hertz in the market. And so you know what they decided? Let's just use that as, you know, our forefrontal thing, you know, that we are okay with being number 2 and that we can't afford not to be nice because we're only number 2. We can't afford to make you wait because we're only number 2. And so if you're wondering, did this really brought about any change? Yeah, it's creative, it sounds good, but here are what kind of changes it brought. Hertz market share dropped from 61% to 49% during this ad campaign. Avis's market share actually grew from 29 to 36%. And 4 years after that, because this ad was in 1962, in 1966, Hertz acknowledged Avis as a worthy rival. Okay, imagine number 1 saying that, like, yeah, number 2, you know, wow, very good, huh? And then we have We Try Harder. It became the company's philosophy, right? So it became part of their DNA. It's like who they are. We try harder. But it was, it lasted for 50 iconic years, and then it changed in 2012. Right? So this is just an example, not just from a copy perspective, but from a company perspective, growth, you know, how did it make a difference just by this series of ads? Okay, let's look at one more. This one is called Best Self. Okay, it's actually a Kickstarter funded project started in 2015, and they sell journals. Okay, this was how their website looked in the early days, and they have a product called Self Journal. Okay, and the banner literally just said Self Journal. Okay, nothing else. And they were thinking, how are we gonna make it, you know, I mean, it's not generating any traffic, it's not like conversions are still the same, what are we gonna do about it? So they decided to change up the copy, and this is what they came up with. Join 172,783 plus professionals who achieve their goals by using the Self Journal. Okay, two notes to take point here. 172,000 people. That's social proof. If it works for 172,000 people, chances are it's going to work for me. And achieve their goals, okay? Benefit. Always about the audience, what's in it for me. So the takeaways from this, conversions went up by 26.8%. Benefits, creating trust, social proof, these things sell, okay? And it created a stronger name for themselves in the market as well, selling all these journals, and more than that, they were able to expand their product range and rebrand as well. So in the next slide, you can see what the website looks like today. A lot cleaner, more products, and just better copy as well, better design, better copy, overall looking very chic, very nice. Okay. And best places for copy inspo. Best places for copy inspo, let's go. The first one, reallygoodemails.com. It really is what it says. It is really good emails. It is good for copy inspo. It's good for design inspo. And I would recommend that you kind of really take advantage of this, because not just from like how you're going to position your offer, where you're going to put your call to action, there's so much to actually gain from the examples here. The second one will be marketingexamples.com. This one is by this guy called Harry Dry. He's pretty big on LinkedIn as well. And so, yeah. So basically, what I love about this one is that you can filter the things that you're looking for, like copy-wise. I only want to look at like social copy. I only want to look at landing page copy. So there are different colors to actually filter the different kind of, the different kind of copy and the different kind of examples that you're looking for. And the last one is Pinterest, which I know Pinterest is like, only for designers and, not so much for copywriters, but actually Pinterest is a great resource for inspiration, creativity as well. And when I say instant inspo, you will get a lot of value, I would say, because sometimes it's just not about what we see, but it's just like, okay, that will get me like launched a little bit to like how I'm going to start, because like, sometimes we just feel so tired and uninspired, right? Okay, and to sum up, yes, so good marketing offers us a view of the world. Bad marketing offers us a product to buy. And I will end with one of my personal favorite quotes, which is by Patsy Cline, which says, if you can't do it with feeling, don't. If you can't do it with feeling, go outside, have a run, take a cold shower, come back when you can actually have a deep sense of passion and creativity and sense of meaning in what you do, right? So if you like what you've seen today so far, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I would love to get to know you. And there are not that many Cheryl Lees that are copywriters in Malaysia. So just look up Cheryl Lee. I think you should be able to find me. And thanks so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for your sharing. We're going to take this 5 minutes to answer questions. So we're going to put up the slide again and go ahead, give your best shot, best questions to her, right? I've got one personal question to you, Cheryl.
Sure.
As they're putting up these questions
me.
here. Okay. What do you think of copywriting frameworks? Should businesses use them?
You mean like templates, formulas?
PAS, ADA, all these kind of frameworks.
It's a good place to start. I won't necessarily, I still use them from time to time, but I would say after some time, like you kind of get it well, and it's not necessarily something that you need to refer to frequently. I need to talk about the pain first, I need to agitate the pain. And when you get a good sense of feel, it's kind of hard to say, because like, what's that quote that says that repetition is mastery, right? So it's like if you do it so often, it really becomes part of you. I won't say like don't use formulas or don't use templates. But I find that the longer that you are doing this and the more you practice, the kind of lesser you need it, because it's so embedded in you already.
So that being said, right, what is your favorite framework? Or what would you recommend for people to use for copywriting?
Not easy, Okay, this one is not really a framework, but it's also a little bit like a framework. As in, I always use this one example, and I take it as a framework. But in the industry, I don't think it's known as a framework. I call it the nail thing. It has to do with a nail, paku. And basically, what is the use of a nail, right? The nail is for you to have a hammer, knock something into the wall. And how do you sell a nail, right? So you're not going to say, hey, these are great nails, for your wall and things like that. So think about it this way. The nail is actually for the photo frame. The photo frame is actually about the interior. The interior is about the design. The design is about interior not about the design. But what I mean is like interior, then it's about the people in the space. The people in the space is about the camaraderie, the fellowship, So it's really thinking beyond just of what it is. I believe in selling things not as they are, because if I'm just gonna talk about nails, like how is that actually gonna intrigue you? You can say it has to do with utility. So yeah, sorry, not really a framework, but this whole nail thing. Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, we have one popular question here. With many companies using AI software, it's like Jasper AI,
I
GPT-3.
knew this one was coming. Yeah.
For copywriting, do you think there's going to be a decline in demand for copywriting services?
Okay, I've tried some, and maybe the ones I tried are more like newer lah, like typed by AI, open. I think like open something. Also AI. They're good. I will say that I don't think they can execute something or actually get to the sense of how a human copywriter would really kind of like, talk about the pain points, lean into the offer, things like that. I don't think it's as powerful as what a human can do, because ultimately, right, you would still need to feed it some kind of info. As in like, okay, I go to the AI software, I still need to input, right? Oh, I'm going to sell furniture. And then, okay, who are the target audience? I still need to input this kind of information. So it still depends on the human, I feel. It's only as good as like what you put in, I would say. So do we have a reason to worry? Maybe a little bit. But personally, I find that it has not really affected my work as much.
All right. Let's go for the next one here by Teng Singh. How do you balance SEO and quality copy?
Okay, I think this is a common misconception that people have about SEO. Copywriters, like whether you're doing direct response or conversion copywriting, a conversion copywriter or direct response copywriter doesn't really need to have SEO knowledge in that sense, because SEO is more content writing, it's more long form writing, like your blogs, social media, like those are more under content writing. So copywriting is more about sales. Okay, doing it in a way that is creative, appeals to the emotion, feel something enough to do something about it, to complete the transaction. So balance. Okay, so for me personally, I work with teams who have an SEO guy or have an SEO team, and so we would have meetings on how to optimize things better. But as far as SEO, it's not so much in the copywriting space, more in the content writing space.
All right, I'm gonna get you to answer this question because I think it's important. How do you juggle different copy clients or brands without them sounding similar after a while, because you have your own style of writing, right? So how do you juggle them?
You mean like from brand to brand, right? Like how do not sound similar? Okay, view it like children, okay? Child age, okay, let's say Lulu and Susie, okay? Lulu and Susie are children, daughters, okay? They may have certain similarities. They both like My Little Pony. They both like, like there may be similarities, but ultimately, I kind of view like the brands that I work for as children, whereby like they still have their own unique personality, and it's up to me to kind of really kind of embody what like the brand stands for. And so what this requires is actually maybe having more frequent meetings with the team, saying that, oh, actually we've been going about our copy in this way for like the longest time, and then we notice some of our competitors are also kind of sounding the same. They're using some of the same words, they're using some of the same angles. How are we going to differentiate ourselves? And so it's a very collaborative effort as far as being the copywriter, the one who's crafting the copy, and, obviously the PICs and the brands, right? So I don't know if it helps, but it helps me. As in, like, I view them as separate entities. They're like children. I love them all, but like they're not twins, or they're not the same. Yeah. Okay. It's quite common, I think, between the client and between you. You know what is good. As in, you know what is good copy. You know what will sell. And then obviously you still need to be like kind of answerable to them, right? They will have like their take on it, and then you will tweak accordingly. So one common mistake I would say is that you think of yourself lah. As in like you think that I know this is good. Industry standards, this is good. And you know it will sell. And so when you kind of lose sight of, hey, it's not about what I want, it's not about what they want, it's about what the market wants. And a good example that I shared about this before is that don't think like a marketer, think like the market. it's about the market. Ultimately, if you put something out there and there's no interest for the market, also no use, right? So a common mistake would be like, you kind of think because this is good copy, this will sell, but whether or not it really appeals to the audience is one thing. And maybe another one would be trying to say too many things, trying to say everything. And I recently learned that actually saying everything is boring. So like when you just like reveal, like, okay, I'm a magician and my tricks today, I'm going to tell you like 1 to 10, like how is it done? Like that's no fun, that's boring, right? So I think sometimes people do that as in you're trying to stuff all your important things, my USP, the benefits, like, just crowd it. But actually we need to think about the experience lah, and we need to think about what the market wants. Tips to get into the mood, idea of flow. I think this one is very individual. But for me, personally, I like to take cold showers. I take a lot of cold showers. The most being 8 a day, okay? When I'm like, I need creativity, I'm like, I got high anxiety, that's what I do, okay? That's one. Another one is to just go and do totally something different for like an hour, 2 hours. It can be, going to grab a coffee, like simple things. But personally, I feel these things work for me. But I think one that people kind of say that really works for them as well is to just meet with friends, like be with people. Be with not only be with people, but be with people that you like, right? Because that will kind of, it takes attention away from like, okay, I need inspiration for this ad, like how I'm going to write. And then when you're with your friends, you're just bonding, catching up, having a good time. And that really kind of just steers the attention away. And when you come back, your mind is clearer, you're able to focus better. And yeah, so I think those things do work for me.
All right, thank you so much, Cheryl. Please give her a big hand. Thank you.